I work for the Brigham and Women's Hospital and at Harvard Medical School. I'm a faculty there as well. I'm one of the few people at Harvard who believes that undergraduates can actually do research. And I encourage you guys to do so, at least think about it. So our co-op program is basically a research program. And what I want to ask you is this. How many of you guys basically know someone who has cancer or has a relative, friend, or anything like that who's been diagnosed, or, wow, you can see cancer is pretty much everywhere, right? And one of the things about cancer is this. If you detect it late, the survivability, in other words, the outcome of the patient, is going to be less than if you were to detect it early. And the best cases for cancer is to catch it really early so that you can have a surgical approach where you can just remove the tumor and you'll be perfectly fine. But the problem is, if you happen to have something internal, like for ovarian cancer for a female, or prostate cancer for a male, it's really difficult to detect because the organ that you're looking at that has the cancer is really deep down into your body. So what we do in the laboratory, and the Brigham and Women's Hospital is part of a teaching hospital, so we not just treat patients, we also do research. One of the things that we wanted to develop is early detection of cancer. Now, you all know about X-rays and CAT scans and everything like that, but in order to see images on these scales, the tumor has to be pretty big. It has to be at least the size of a, end of a pen or something before you can pick it up on X-rays or CAT scans. And by that time, cancer may already spread, may have gone elsewhere. So, how do we go ahead and develop something really early? Now, people don't like to always get CAT scans and X-rays, but most people don't mind having a drop of blood being analyzed, right? It's just a little poke in your finger, and you can have a little squirt of blood, and that would be fine. Not bleeding you out, not drawing big syringes, nothing like that, but something simple. All right, so suppose that you think of the blood as the internet. Okay, you guys look at computers, you guys know about everything else. So, if you think about the blood as the internet, where if you were in a spy agency like the CIA, you listen to chatter of the internet, right? You can listen to find out whether or not there are pockets of activities or keywords which basically allows you to say a terrorist attack might be coming or something might be looked at. Well, the bloodstream is no different than the internet. All of our cells, all of our organs, essentially connect through the bloodstream. Suppose that we have a way of identifying signatures, listening to keywords on the bloodstream, and figuring out whether or not those keywords essentially might mean that you're at risk for having a disease, like cancer. And that's what we wanted to do. We take a drop of blood, and we look into the blood and probe it by using what we call the protein microarray. Now, that's just a big fancy word, so I'm not supposed to say fancy words in here. But protein microarrays are nothing more than a listening device. They're molecular probes that are on a glass slide, and we have some here, just to illustrate. A slide like this, and we can measure thousands of signatures on a glass like this. We take blood, put it on this glass slide, mix it up, and these molecular probes will allow us to identify unique fingerprints or signatures that might say that you're at risk for cancer, so that you can take a look at something. Now, being an undergrad, you said, how am I going to get involved in something like this? If this is something that you kind of think is cool, think of doing a research co-op. If you're curious, think of doing a research co-op. What I mean by being curious? Well, if you go to a restaurant with your parents or with your friends, you go and take a tour, and you're of age and you decide to drink a beer or a wine, you might want to find out what's in it. If you're the kind of person who's curious about how do the chef make this recipe? Why does it taste this way? Could I go home and try making it? You might even go home and try making a brewer. I don't know. If you're that type of person, research might be for you. If you're curious, research might be for you. See, I believe an undergraduate can participate in research, not just to do the routine things, but to expand the envelope of opportunities and the envelope, essentially, of possibilities. So that's really what we wanted to do. And what do I look for in a person? I look for somebody who's motivated, who's curious, and grades are important, don't get me wrong. Grades are not the only thing I look for, but grades are important. And the reason that grades are important is because it shows a certain level of commitment, your commitment. You get good grades means that you put in the time to study. Whether or not you like the subject or not, that's irrelevant, but you put in the time to study. And that means something to an employer. It means something that basically you took the effort to do the very best job that you can. So grades are important. The other thing that we're supposed to ask is, how do you grow professionally? What is that you look for? Why is research or any opportunities good for you? Well, the one thing in life that we all need is finding a good mentor, finding a good coach. That's important. It doesn't matter what you do, whether it's our co-op, Boston Beer Works Co-op, New England Aquarium, or anybody else's co-op. Find yourself a good mentor. Find yourself a good coach. That's really the most important thing. Because a mentor or a coach allows you to basically do one thing. Opens up the opportunity for you to network, opens up resources that you need that you may not know about, and to grow professionally, and to look and see what that person did well, as well as what that person didn't do well. And that coach, that mentor, doesn't have to be your boss. It doesn't have to be your supervisor. It could be your colleague. It could be your professor. Somebody that you trust, somebody that you know, somebody who's going to take an interest in you. That's what a good coach is, and that's what a good thing is. So my suggestion is, give research a try if you're curious. If you want to basically say, I want to do something that's bigger than myself, look into research co-ops. Because I believe that undergraduates can perform. It's your generation who gave us Twitter. Your generation who gave us Facebook. Your generation who gave us Napster. And your generation who put an African American in the White House. So yeah, believe that yes, we can. Because I believe that yes, you can.